Right. So now we are taking a deeper dive because we've already been pretty deep, which has been great. We're in our grief and gratitude series. Okay, hit me. What a time of grief for you?
Okay, first of all, grief and gratitude series. Here's the deal. Navigating grief takes gratitude.
Yes.
That's it. That's foundational.
If
Okay.
you do it well, if you do it well, and if you do well, by well, I mean letting it come and letting it be and not trying to shortchange it or hurry it.
Yes, 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 yes. All of that. Exactly. The idea is, again, with the gifts, being grateful for the experience. Something I recently came to. So my relation, I get a posse of dead people. Okay. It really is. And I mean, ones that these are all family and friends. Like there's another layer of dead people that I didn't know as Ann Jonas. And every single one of those stories has pretty much a tragedy attached to it. Everyone's in one of those death stories. And I mean, the primary one, which essentially started, I like my little lotus path experience here. No mud, no lotus. What I recognize is the beginning of and that's Thich Nhat Hanh, that's not mine, right? But
Right.
that I recognize was 19 years ago in 2005 was a critical moment. There was a moment, and then everything happened as a result of that. And I said, this is a spiritual experience. Okay. Like I was 35, 36. I'd done enough work at that point because again, everything is lined up. You're going to have everything you need to navigate everything you receive. Like I'm going to say that again. You're going to have everything you need to navigate everything you receive, right? Because that's this co-created life. So
Okay.
the place of being in grief, as you said, it's about moving through it, about being with it. Yes, sweat the small stuff. I don't like the other way. Yes, sweat all the stuff. You know what? Sweating's a good thing. Sweating lets out toxicity. I'm talking about the body, right? Like it's a good thing to sweat. Sweating the small things means that you're acknowledging the little things that desire to be seen or witnessed in you, right? If something is a little frustrating about a situation or a person outside of you, it's for you. So when you recognize and you go in and you feel it and you allow it to, be like a wave and toss you and turn you, and you have gratitude, where grief stops us is when we recognize that it's about the things that are unmet, okay? The end of the relationship. There's no more, right? Like, and I didn't get to say what I wanted to say. And that can be with a human or a pet. I've seen
Right.
that as well, with a job, with a living situation, with with a government. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like no matter what macro, micro, local, global level you want to be on,
Right.
when you decide that this is a choice, that life is a choice, and you decide and you're going to look at this thing and you're going to say to yourself, okay, how might I feel met by the completion of this? And then you start looking at that. I like to ask questions. Well, when something's irritating or triggering, where are my edges? How is this serving? What am I learning?
Right.
Everything is like that, including these things that bring us grief.
Okay. So was this event that happened 19 years ago, was that the beginning of your recognizing that I now am going to process things differently? Did that come sort of after or during?
Great question. So, I mean, I'm happy to say the event. I don't need to dance around it. I mean, the deal is that my parents were divorced when I was 11. And that was tragedy in and of itself. I mean, that was just a whole, that defined something for me in a relation of how I like the push and pull of life. 25 years later, after my father had been on 4 other marriages and 3 major suicide attempts, he showed up at my mother's doorstep. And he had a gun and he shot her twice and left her for dead. He was taken to jail, and a year and a half later, he was found unconscious in his cell. Actually, a year after her death, he was sentenced to basically what would be life. 6 months later, he was found unconscious. That journey, that 18-month journey that well, from the time that he ended my mother's life, I said that he was basically dead to me. That was a choice he'd made. I never saw him again except for the arraignment or whatever that was. Anyway, the point here is that that whole thing, based on having been on a personal growth, self-development, spiritual seeking journey for 20 years at that point.
Okay, you were already primed, so to speak.
36. Yep. So
Right.
like I was raised Jewish, had my bat mitzvah. My mom became a Baha'i. When my parents got divorced, I had the Baha'i experience. And then I went in my early 20s dancing with goddess religion and Wicca. And I was like, wait, it's all the same stuff. And so that was my spiritual seeking journey to come to love is everything, which is essentially, so I have 2 published chapters, one in the Empowered Self-Care and then the other in the book that I curated. And the second one is Love is Everything. The first one, From Mud to Lotus, which is a story of my parents. The second one is how I found God on my journey. And the deal is that I'm grateful again that these experiences happen. Now, here's a funny story. At my mother's funeral, someone said to me, "How are you?" And I find that so amusing. This idea
Yeah,
of how
what's
we ask
yeah.
people how they are.
How
And
could
I was like,
what's the answer there? Yeah.
well, I said, it's kind of blank up, right? We'll go there because I can do that. It's kind of blank up. My dad shot my mom, but at least it's the order of things. Like our parents die first, like it's in order. I said, it's not like it's my partner, the person I share my bed with. And I have no idea, or at least then, why I said that. Now I know now because I went like bloop, future timeline. I wasn't even in a relationship at that point. But 2 years later, I met the person who I would marry, and she went on a melanoma cancer journey.
Oh,
We had our daughter, who is my brother-in-law's, was our donor. So my daughter is connected to her other mom's family genetically. And when our daughter was 2 was when Erica left the planet. So she did, like, so I did have that too. And I'm like, till death do us part. I did that, My parents got divorced. I never wanted that. So yeah, I got a whole series of stories of things, and people feel bad. And what I say is we don't compare tragedies. Mine are for me.
yeah, oh gosh, I have goosebumps right now. That is just so profound. There aren't even words really to describe how I am feeling and what I am thinking right now. Not just obviously by the devastation of what you have been through. That's like unbelievable. I am so deeply moved by you taking the possibility of what could be after those events, and you have like maximized it, and you have become a light that others can look to when they go through again their own things, because I love the not comparing tragedies thing. um, you are what's possible, and I find that so hopeful. I mean, I do believe that a lot of people, had they been tasked, called, whatever, however you want to verb it there, go through a fraction of what you've been through, would be bitter and not better. And I think it's deeply inspiring, impactful, encouraging, all those wonderful, active words that I love so much, that you can speak into not just that space of survival, but then thriving after. What happens after? I'm very big on what happens after.
Are you familiar with the equation? Well, first of all, I'm tearing up. You know, I didn't pay you to say any of those things. Everybody knows, and we never met before. And like,
No.
I am that person, Rechelle, and I'm so grateful that I've been tasked, as you spoke into, with this life. Like, I'm
Mhm.
so grateful that I get to be this person with all of these big things, like so many big things. I'm such a big person, and some people are like really put off by me. I know, surprising, huh? They're just kidding. But this is the thing. I'm so touched by how you see me because it's how I see myself, and what I'm honored to be able to offer our humanity, our collective at this time is trust and love. So thank you for that. And I'm going to offer you this equation. Jack Canfield, I think, is the first person I heard it from. E plus R equals O. Okay. The events or the experiences in our life plus the response or reaction equals the outcome. This event's gone. We're here in the now moment, right? Like, so if we're
Yeah.
here now, the event doesn't exist. Therefore, everything that is your story, the outcome, the O, is how you responded. Is it thriving? Is it empowering?
Mm-hmm.
Victimizing and disempowering? I don't care. I'm not judging. Right? It's yours to do. And this is
Right.
some people are here to be a victim. That's part of their journey. And that's the other thing. There are people here to be poor and here are people to be rich. There are people to be here in the middle of hurricanes and others that are in the middle of wars. There are people that have no water and there are people that are literally throwing water out their windows. Right?
Yes.
This is a real essence of the human experience and condition in the third dimensional reality of Earth school, right? Let's bring the movie back, The Matrix, right? And we get to decide how we gonna play.
Right. I think a lot of people don't realize that they have the power to decide. I really
Most people
do.
don't. I'd say most people don't. This is kind of a new thing. This is what's an awakening? That remembering. Okay. Like life to me is an hourglass. We come in big, full of God, full of light, full of love. We're all that. And then the minute we're born, right? We got like ideas and constructs, but you know the stories. And I wrote it in my book. I think I heard it from Wayne Dyer first. The couple that has a baby and they got like a 4-year-old already. And the 4-year-old says, can I have a moment alone with the baby? And they're like, we don't know what you're going to do, right? They listen from the door. The 4-year-old says, tell me about God. I'm starting to forget.
Oh, wow.
By 5 years old, most have forgotten. Another fabulous movie, Heart and Souls with Robert Downey Jr. from like the 80s or the 90s. I love that movie. It's another powerful movie about the relationship of death and life. Same thing, right? It's a circle. That's so funny. Heart and Souls
That's
with
what I
Rob.
thought. Okay.
Yeah, the movie with Robert Downey Jr.
Okay. All
Have you
right.
seen it? Did you ever see it?
I think I have. I'll have to go revisit and refresh my memory. So I
Well,
have,
the idea, like, why did I bring that up? Because the idea is that we are connected to the unseen when we are young. Okay.
okay,
We
gotcha.
are connected to the unseen when we are young. Animals are connected to the unseen their whole lives, right? Why? Because they don't think about it. This hourglass experience that I'm talking about, from here, we're all feeling, we're all sensation, we're all light, love, and God. And little by little, the expectations of human life get built up. That's density versus light, right? I'm sure this, I mean, these are conversations we're always having. Are we in a light Space, way, are we feeling heavy and dense? These are
Right.
vibrations, these are frequencies. There's lots of technical, even scientific words and terms that will describe what I'm offering as an energetic.
Right.
Okay. So here we are. Most people stay right here. That's what we're talking about. You're like, most people don't know. Here's the decision. Having worked as a birth doula for 12 years, birth and death are the same. Here's another opportunity, going through. But what does that mean to go up through an hourglass? It's another birth, right? It's being willing. That's the awakening. Awakening is another birth. It's your birth into remembering that you're a spiritual being. Oh, that's good. I'm glad we're recording this. It is. That's that.
Very,
It's simple.
yeah, you've got a lot of insight, and like I say, you've given it a lot of thought and really, I think maximized. I don't even know. You're still going. You're still in process. I like the ing. You know, you were talking about words earlier and being in the present. That's why I really like the ing of words, because that indicates now. Okay,
Well,
so
now and like a beingness, like it
yeah,
doesn't, there's no period on the end of it. It's an
yeah,
action word, right? It's like,
yeah.
it's a, so it's, yeah. And it also represents more. I feel like it represents more, the ing.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, I agree. Okay, you've given us a lot to chew on. So I want to know what advice you would give for someone grieving, and what advice would you give to help cultivate gratitude?
Okay. Let's talk about gratitude first, though. Here's the way to help cultivate gratitude. Simply, if it's really not in your practice at all, when you get out of bed, put your feet on the ground and say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Every time you get a chance to look in the mirror, say thank you. Now, I'm not saying say thank you because somebody gave you something, right? It's not that kind of thank you, right? It's
Right.
not like that, like please and thank you. We're not talking about a please and thank you. We're talking about a thank you for recognition for being.
Mm-hmm. Okay, God, that's beautiful. And it's very, like, it is very simple, and it really, anyone can do it.
Yeah. And there's lots of ways. And then, I mean, yeah, gratitude journals, gratitude lists, gratitude months, gratitude. Hey, Thanksgiving's coming whenever we're some point every year, Thanksgiving comes. Whenever that happens, we get a gratitude. My first retreat I ever did was called Got Gratitude. And we did it
Mm,
in November. And one of the things I love about Thanksgiving, besides stuffing and pumpkin pie, my two favorites, are that we are saying gratitude. Why is it only once a year? Why is it even only maybe at a meal, one meal? Does everybody say grace? Right? So,
mhm,
and I wasn't raised saying grace. So this is, again, gratitude for most people is something that is a practice to be cultivated.
mhm. Good. That's very good. Yes. Okay, what about grief?
Grief, allowing,
Mm,
surrendering, being with, going in. We don't, there's no over the counter drug for grief. Okay. I mean, there's lots of drugs for grief. There's lots of isms for grief. There's television and go to the gym and eat food. I mean, there's all of them, right? Okay.
right.
And I'm not, there's no judgment here in how I speak to everything. I'm neutral. It's yours to decide whether or not it's serving for you. Okay.
Right.
In that, is an opportunity. When we surrender, allow, release, and let go, then the next step will come to listening and witnessing.
Mhm.
Listening and witnessing. And then seeing the greatness, holding to the greatness, letting go of the greatness, right? What's that phrase? Let him go, it'll come back if it's meant to be, that sort of
Right.
freedom, right? So there's all that. Okay, now let's just take it one other dimension further and say they're not gone. Okay. Like we are in the oneness of all of the beings. They're accessible, they're available. We all have our own spiritual journey. It's not like they're at our beck and call.
Mhm.
But in the beginning and with our animals, and there's so many people that channel, that they have a skill to channel, be a medium for our loved ones. So let's go to this next piece. And Abraham, if you followed, Abraham says this with so much grace. Because we're croaking, right? That's what Abraham likes to say. Death is not an end. It's only a piece. This is a piece. Our continuation is as an energetic soul being expression of the divine that does not
Mhm.
end.
Yeah.
This is a learning process. Think of this as a grade in school. And then you moved schools next year. No teachers, no friends, no physical experience, but you are in school again next year on another planet, on another dimension, in another body. Powerful, huh? I love these conversations.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, Anne, anything to say in conclusion? This has been a very delightful, impactful conversation.
My gratitude for you being someone so willing to call forth, again, magnetize the greatness of what you're offering. This is you essentially saying, this is what I see our experience as, and let's have conversations about it. Thank
Yeah.
you for the opportunity to be with your audience and your community. I am here to say thank you again.
Oh, well, I thank you. This has been delightful, and I already used that word, but I do like that word, delightful. I like it.
I'll
Delightful.
give you one. Here's a fun word, burbling. Okay. It's gurgling and bubbling. There's
Oh,
a lot of really fun ways to play with words, or hilarical, like hysterical and hilarious. Sometimes words come through, and the idea is allow yourself to be funny. There's another thing. Allow yourself to be funny.
yes. Here, 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 here. I love that. Yes, I mean, God's got to have an amazing sense of humor. I don't think,
God does. God loves laughter.
yeah.
Seriously, it's the greatest. And I'm going to say something. I didn't think I was funny. I couldn't tell jokes. I didn't know how to tell a joke. I didn't think I was funny at all for most of my life. It's been really in the last 5 or 10 years, maybe max, that I'm think that I'm absolutely hilarious. And people think I'm funny too. And I love offering an opportunity for laughter. Laughter that begets tears, and tears that beget laughter. And all underneath it is fear and anger. It's all here. It's all here.
Yeah,
Be with it,
it
flow
can be
through it.
very healing. It can be very healing, very healing.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you for bringing that up because I believe that too. All right, Anne, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you today. What a delight. I'm glad we got to connect.
Oh, me too. Thank you so much for what you're doing. And see you in the field of love and light.